all of us here in this room have failed. By design, the iterative process of making games involves failure. We consider a concept, we implement that idea, we follow the feedback, we fix the failures, we improve that idea. So, I'd like y'all to raise your right hand and pledge to talk about your failures. Specifically, what you learned from your failures and what kept you going after your failures. Because the independent game space has a problem with failure. When all we read and hear about are successes, that creates unrealistic expectations about the viability of independent game development. Since we don't see all the developers who have tried and failed, even our small failures seem magnified, resulting in devastating demotivation. That's why I'd like to promote an ongoing conversation about failure. I'm asking y'all to do your part to combat survivor bias, because we can only benefit from sharing with and learning from each other. Since I'm already up here, I might as well go first. Hi, I'm Ashley Zeldin, half of Adorkable Games, an independent game developer in Los Angeles. A year ago, I released my first commercial game, Two-Faced, and I'm not sure if the video is going to work, so I'm not going to bother. It was called a fun, fast-paced puzzle game that manages to bring new life to the Match 3 genre by the Indie Game magazine. But Two-Faced was a failure. Somehow, we managed to attend 12 conferences on 3 continents, mostly as speakers, without actually promoting our game. We didn't reach out to journalists, we didn't apply to exhibit, we didn't maintain a presence on social media. I blame introversion and imposter syndrome. As Two-Faced approached release, I finally contacted journalists, and only one even acknowledged my existence. Though we did get that good review. But to quantify, we spent 2 years and $30,000 and got nothing in return. We knew that we should have dedicated some of that time and money to promotion, but it was all we could do to get motivated to even finish the game. Granted, I didn't harbor any delusions of overnight development or success, but the process of finishing was even harder than I imagined. Because we lived a version of the 90-90 rule. The first 90% of development accounted for the first 10% of the time, and the last 10% of the game was the other 170% of the time. I came up with the idea in February 2012 in a Mexican restaurant. I was doodling on a paper napkin, and that weekend we turned it into a playable prototype. I was so excited that the next month I came to GDC and showed everyone and anyone I met. But see, Adorkable Games isn't our full-time job, though these days it's getting close for me. My partner works at that game company with Genova, and I worked on various projects, including for a while directing the IGDA Scholars Program back in 2012. So our free time to work on Two-Faced was limited, making it hard to stay focused on development and maintain our momentum. The delays were really demotivating, and it slowed us down even more. So by the time GDC 2013 arrived, we kind of felt down. And that was when we encountered our biggest setback. Two-Faced had been cloned. So we read the Polygon stories about Vlambeer and ridiculous fishing, and that gave my partner and me some hope that we would follow their example and prevail. But we had less experience, fewer resources, and no exposure compared to our competitor. So I knew then that Two-Faced was going to fail, and it felt like a reflection on me. Well, later that week at GDC, I ran into 2 former scholars who'd become friends. They asked how development was coming along, and I told them, I wasn't sure if or how I could keep going. We decided to meet up later because we were off in separate directions, and somehow they found colored pencils, watercolors, and time to make certificates of their appreciation of my impact on their lives and my contributions to the industry. And that was the first time I realized that there are alternate indicators of success. I never would have thought that 2 pieces of paper could change my entire outlook on where I fit into the games industry. Just when I thought that my efforts in game development were worthless, my friends helped me realize that my efforts beyond game development in this industry are worthwhile. I realized that there are many other ways I could describe myself as successful. I'm on the board of IGDA LA, and I coordinate really awesome events for the LA game dev community. If you're ever in the area, come by, say hi. I work with Women in Games International to teach Girl Scouts how to make games, and I encourage kids at underserved schools how to aspire to careers in STEM. I've spoken at games conferences from Melbourne to Montpellier, France. I've been nominated for Women in Gaming Awards twice. This is not the right slide. Oh well. And here I am, speaking at GDC. I don't define myself in terms of one failed game. Besides, whether or not I should really call it a failure is debatable, because the people who actually do find it, they love it. And it may be a failure in financial terms, but not in terms of my fulfillment. I no longer define success exclusively as fortune and fame, and neither should you. Success can be as simple as finishing a game and releasing it into the world at long last. Your success may not be what you expected, but embrace it. Keep going, and please keep making games. Because I've come to believe that the games industry is better with me in it, and I believe it's better with all of you in it too.